Hello everyone, welcome. In this particular lab, I'm going to work on this configuring a message-based integration architecture. This lab is available on the GitHub from Microsoft Learning, and I'm going to give you the link. You can read up the details of the lab. This is something I have not done before, so I'm most likely going to struggle while we go through the lab. So let's see what is it that we need to do. So every single lab, if you see that they're available on the GitHub for cloud, most of them they have a scenario. In this scenario, we have Adatum. That organization got several web applications that process files uploaded in regular intervals to their on-premises file server. Okay, so that's good. Files varies, sizes vary, but they can reach up to 100 MB. So basically you're gathering your requirements. So you have a web application where people would upload files of different size. Size could be up to 100 MB in size. Adatum is considering migrating the applications to Azure App Service or Azure Functions based apps and using Azure Storage to host uploaded files. Okay, so there are two scenarios here: using Azure Functions to automatically process new blobs uploaded to the Azure Storage container, or you can also use Event Grid to generate Azure Storage queue messages that will reference new blob uploaded to an Azure Storage container. Alright. These scenarios are intended to address a challenge common to a messaging based architecture. So what that means is when sending, receiving and manipulating large messages. Okay, so that's where you use a messaging based architecture. Sending large messages to a message queue directly is not recommended, as they would require more resources to be used, and thereby what happens, it results a lot more bandwidth to be consumed. Okay, so if that happens, it's definitely going to have a bad impact on the processing speed, since the messaging platform are usually fine-tuned to handle high volume of small messages. The last problem that you also need to solve: most messaging platforms, they limit the maximum message size that they can process. So if you're uploading a 100 MB message or 100 MB file, that cannot be processed as one message because there is a size restrictions. So how can we solve the problem? One potential solution is to store the message payload into an external service like Azure Blob Store or Azure SQL or Azure Cosmos DB. Anywhere you store the message, get the reference to the stored payload and then send the messages bus to the message bus only the reference. So what you are doing, you are not sending the message, but you have stored and created a reference, and to the message bus you are saying, hey, here's the reference, I got a message log, here's the ticket number. Okay, you go and process it. This architecture pattern is known as claim check. That's a nice name. The clients interested in processing the specific message can use the obtained reference to retrieve the payload if needed. On Azure, this pattern can be implemented in several ways with different technologies, but it typically relies on eventing to either automate the claim check generation and to push it into the message bus, or to be used by clients to trigger payload processing directly. So how Azure does that? There are multiple ways. This is one way. Okay, one of the common components includes such implementation is the event grid. As I said, you can do it multiple ways. One pattern is the event grid, where Event Grid, which is an event routing service responsible for delivery of events within a configurable period of time. Okay, up to 24 hours. After that, events are either discarded or dead later. If archival of events contents or replayability of event stream are needed, it is possible to facilitate this requirement by setting up event grid subscription to the event hub or a queue in Azure Storage where messages can be retained for longer periods and archival of messages is supported. Okay, so in JS you have a need to process big files up to 100 MB, but you know that your current architecture, message-based architecture, does not support processing of a single message that is of 100 MB of nature. So you create a reference and you give the reference back to your client and ask, hey, here is a reference to the message, you go and process it. Now Event Grid is something that can handle such events, and it can retain the events up to 24 hours. After that, it's not possible to process the image if you do not have integration with Azure Blob or Queue or something else, okay, or to the Event Hub. So in this lab, what are we going to do? We're going to use Azure Storage Blob service to store the files to be processed. So this portion should be pretty easy. A client just needs to drop files to be shared into a designated blob container. Okay, so we can create a blob container, and if you're doing this lab, probably you have done this many times. In this first exercise, the files will be consumed directly by Azure function. Okay, so that's maybe we have not done, or you have, leveraging its serverless nature. So again, function is a serverless thing. You will also take advantage of the application insights to provide instrumentation, facilitating monitoring and analyzing file processing. And on the second phase of the exercise, we are going to use the Event Grid to automatically generate a claim check message and send it to the Azure Storage Queue. What it's going to do, this is going to allow a client application to poll the queue, get the message, and then use the stored reference data to download the payload directly from the Azure Blob Storage. So what they're saying, it is worth mentioning that Azure function is the first exercise relies on the Blob Storage trigger. You should opt for Event Grid trigger instead of the Blob Storage trigger when dealing with the following requirements. Okay, so this, pay some attention. Blob storage accounts are supported for blob input and output bindings, but not for blob triggers. Okay, blob storage triggers require a general purpose storage account. So remember that high scale can be loosely defined as containers that have more than 100,000 blobs in them, or storage accounts that have more than 100 blob updates per second. Reduced latency: if your function app is on a consumption plan, there can be up to 10-minute delay in processing new blobs if a function app has gone idle. So that's an important thing to note. Okay, to avoid this latency, you can use an Event Grid trigger or switch to app service plan with the always on setting enabled. And the last thing, processing of blob delete events. Blob delete events are not supported by blob storage triggers. Okay, so we have some requirements. You can spend some more time in reading this content, where and what you should do if you have some additional requirements. So let's get started with the lab. It took us a little bit of time to go through the objective. So the first one, we're going to configure and validate an Azure function app storage blob trigger. Okay, so what we have to do from the lab, so we'll pretty much go to our portal and we're going to open the cloud cell, and this section, if you do not have any storage, then only it's going to ask. If you do have a storage, you probably don't need to do anything. Name the Azure region. Okay, so what, from the cloud cell, generate a pseudo random string of characters that will be used for as a prefix for names of the resources you provision in this exercise. Okay, so we'll run this to create a random string. Okay, so let's go and try to log in to our Azure environment. So let's see if I still have my subscription active. It should be. I just need to go to my default directory. So this is the way you go, default directory. go, that's my subscription. If we go click on here, it's all active and we can work on it. Okay, so to get to a Cloud Shell, you just click on the Cloud Shell button right there. So this is going to give you this window where you can now start writing your commands. Okay, so just give couple minutes. Yeah, it's not even a minute. So what all they're doing, they're creating a random string over here and it's storing as prefix. So that's the random command, that the random string that it created, right? So now export this. So it created this variable and now I did an echo on that variable and I see this is the random string that it created. Okay, so that's going to be used in our lab. Okay, so from the Cloud Shell, run the following designate. So what region do you wanna use for this lab? So here we're gonna paste that, and I love East US. I'm gonna stick to that. So I'll do East US, and you can use whatever you like. And now guess what? If you do echo location, you should see East US, right? Now we are going to assign a resource group name. Okay, and then we're going to create the resource group name. Again, export resource group name. That's the resource group name that you want for this lab. And then here you're going to create the resource group. It's very easy. AZ group create name, and then you're providing the variable that you created in the last command, and you're saying in this location and the location you have also created previously. So far it's pretty easy. So now it says, and we have probably done that many times if you're following my labs and videos. So here it says succeeded, and again always pay attention to the ID and kind of understand what they are. So ID for unique identifier starts with a subscription, then subscription identifier, then type of the resource, it's a resource groups, and then the instance of the resource. Okay. Alright, so over here what do we need to do is now we need to create a storage account and a container that will host the blob. So again here what you're using for the storage account, your name has to be globally unique. So here storage account name, they're using this and then the prefix that we have already created using a random string generator. Okay, so then we're creating a container, and that's also pretty straightforward. You're just again creating a variable best. Here we go. Okay, once we have that, now we're gonna export the storage account. Is the storage account created? So we're gonna create the storage account and I'm gonna store all the values in here. So let's do that. So here if you look at the real command over here, AZ storage account create, and you're providing the name, kind, it's a storage of v2 type, location will be East US, resource group, the resource group you have already created, SKU you also need, which is a standard LRS, locally redundant storage. So all that looks pretty good. This now may take just a minute or so because here you are actually creating the storage account that you're going to use for the lab. Okay, so while this is running, let's see, and the last, once you have the storage account, you also need to create a storage container. Okay, the same storage account will be used by the Azure function to facilitate its own processing requirements. In the real world scenario, you might want to consider creating a separate storage account for this. Okay, so here there are some tips in here. So if you have this requirement in the real world, what you should be doing. Okay, let's come back here. So this is done. So we should have already a storage account created, and now we are creating our, okay, it says there is no credential provided in your command and environment. We will query account key for the storage account. Please provide connection tree and all of that stuff. It says just created is true. So I'm just hoping that the account worked. Just let's see, let's come back and we'll verify. From the Cloud Shell, run the following to create a variable storing the values of the connection string property of the storage account. Okay, let's keep going. and let's see if this one gives me any error. No, it didn't. So here is telling true, so I'm guessing everything worked fine. Over here, a storage connection string now is getting that we'll be needing, and once that's done, run the following command to create an application insight resource that will provide monitoring of the Azure function processing blob. So you need the application insight for monitoring purposes. So let's do that. So this is gonna, so let's just copy all of it. Okay, then come over here and paste. So what it first did this. Okay, export application insight, that's the name. Then AZ resource create name, this name, properties we are providing, the properties type Microsoft Insights components. Okay, so all of that. So this resource creation is done in this phase where you have this big JSON output, and at the end we're going to create this application insight key, and we're just going to get that from the application insight name that we have already created. So let's run this command. This one should have now, so let's just echo that one. We haven't done echo for a while, so let's see. App, come on, app insights key. Okay, so yeah, so it's got the key properly stored, so I feel good about it. So let's come over here from the cloud shell. Now you export the function name, and then you create, basically you are storing, you're telling me, hey, now I need to create a function, Azure function. This is gonna be the name of the function. Okay, this, and again they're using that random string we created at the very beginning of the lab. After we have the function name, let's pass that as a variable to this particular command, AZ function app create name. Here is our function name in the same resource group, and now we are providing the storage account that we created, and consumption plan location, this is TOS runtime.net. So it's going to create the application for that we can use to host .NET applications. Okay, that seems pretty good. So hit enter. So far it's going pretty good. These are, looks like some warning time messages, as long as they're not read. Okay, I'm okay. So so let's let that run. Let's read what is the next thing that we need to do. From the cloud shell, run the following to configure application setting of the newly created function, linking the application insights and the Azure storage account. So now what they're saying, that now we have to link our application, link the function with the storage account. Okay, application insights and the storage account. So let's copy these two commands as well and come back over here. So that is also, that command ran successfully. So let's copy this one. So the first one is running, then the first one, AZ function configuration app settings. So that looks like it went just fine. Resource group settings, so it's just providing some settings to connect one with other. Now you are doing the same thing for the function app, AZ function app, so that also worked just fine. Okay, so now we have that connection. Now switch to the Azure portal and navigate to the blade of the Azure function app you created earlier in this task. So over here you can just click function app. Okay, so the function app would show up, and under this function app we should see this is the one that we created. So just go to that function app blade. So if we go there, it should give you the main overview pane. So I have all of that available with me right now. So let's see what they're asking. In here, what they're asking, let's now create a new function. Choose a template below or go to the quick start blade, click Azure Blob Storage trigger. So here is where we are, and from here we need to create a new function app. So is it, hold on, here you just have to be make sure that what you're doing, switch to Azure portal, function app, then on the Azure function app blade click function and then click new function. So we need to go to the function. So here function is under the function. Okay, so then you click on functions. Once you click on that one, you should add to create a new function. Okay, now here you have whole bunch of operations, right? So this is that they are saying Azure Blob Storage Trigger is the one that they are saying that we should be using, Azure Blob Storage Trigger, because that's where we want to monitor if somebody is uploading files and stuff like that. So we are here, okay, Blob Storage Trigger, we're here on the extension not install blade. Click install until the installation is complete. So extension not install blade, so I don't even have that here. Template Blob Storage Trigger, so we're up to here, so we have done this just fine. Let's come back. So here let's read it. Azure Storage on the extension not installed, this is not even there. Click install, wait until the installation is complete, click continue. On the Azure Blob Storage Trigger, specify the following: name Blob Trigger, path, work time, storage account, storage connection string. And sometimes Azure will change the windows, and the lab is still in a old version of it or something. Sometimes there would be a little bit of difference, so you kind of have to see how closely it matches. So what I'm thinking that they have done here, I'm going to choose the storage connection string. So this thing is, I don't see this extension blade. Okay, so I'm gonna stay over here on the Blob Storage Trigger blade, specify the following. So name Blob Trigger, so I can copy this one, name Blob Trigger, so I can do this Blob Trigger, path, samples, work times, name, okay. So here it says samples work times name, path, can we change to work times name? Yeah, work times name I can change, that's why I changed it. Storage account location, storage connection string, so that also I have done, I can select, so I have that. And then on the Azure function app Blob Trigger function blade, review the content of the run.ctx file, so that's also not available to me, looks like. So what I'll do at this point, I'm just gonna create the function and see if I get the other things. Okay, so it created that function. Let's come back to our stored Azure function. This on the Azure function have Blob Trigger function blade, so I need to go to the Blob Trigger function blade. Blob Trigger function blade is here. Okay, the code and test, maybe this is where you can find that piece of code. Okay, yeah, it's here. So on the review the content of the run file, my blob length, bytes and size. Yeah, okay, so what it's doing, it looks like it's a function where you are going to pass a blob, you are passing a string name and a logger, and it's going to log the information. It's going to say blob trigger function process blob and name of the blob, and it's going to say the size and the length in bytes it's going to produce. That looks good. By default, the function is configured to simply log the event corresponding to creation of a new blob. In order to carry out blob processing task, you would modify the content of this file. Okay. Now validate an Azure function app storage blob. So we have done pretty much everything except for this one. This one is something that was not available to us. Like, you can kind of look at a couple other places and see if you see the extension. I don't see the extension blade. So if you see the extension blade, just leave me a comment. Where is it, and if I missed something and you did not. Okay. So let's come to this task, validate the Azure function app. So if necessary, we don't really need that. So here we're gonna repopulate the variables in our environment. Probably I don't even need that since I have not closed this pane at all, Man, I just need to make it a little bit big. Come on. Alright, so there we go. But yeah, just let's get that stuff. So now we have those resource group name and stuff with me. Then what I'm gonna do, run the following to upload a test blob to Azure Storage account you created earlier. So here all you're doing, you're just testing that you can upload a blob. So they can copy all of that and paste it and just keep doing it. So now you have uploaded a blob successfully to the account that you already created. And by the way, let's take a quick look at the storage account that we have created. So I already have this, so let's click on it. This is the weird one, so let's go to that one. Then we have created a blob container as well, so let's go see. So this is the blob containers that we have created, and these are all the stuff, like remember the work items is something we created, and looks like they touch work items and they created. So here is this storage blob upload file to work items, so they must have uploaded something here. So let's go and verify we have a file in there. And there, look at that, work item 1.txt. So we know that we have successfully uploaded, and everything is available in our Azure environment. We have verified that from our portal. That is something I also recommend that you do. Like a lot of the labs, they have just commands after commands. You want to have a feel what you are doing. So keep going back to the portal, verify your work, that you can also see your work in the Azure environment. You exactly understand what you are doing, what the code is doing for you. Okay, so we have done up to this. Now in the Azure portal, navigate back to the blade displaying Azure function app and go to the monitor and entry in the function section. So let's go back. So again, easiest way is just go to function app. Okay, click your app. Then here I need to go to the monitor. There's some place your monitor needs to be there. Where is it? Monitoring metrics log. Okay, let's see which one they're asking. On the app blade, click monitor entry in the function section. Okay, so let's go back in the function section one more time. Function is a big section, right? Here's function, functions, app key, app files, proxy. Looks like within function I don't even ever have a monitor. A lot of times if I can't find it, I also do this monitor. This also did not bring up any particular monitor blade. It's like giving me a monitoring, but I don't see anything that's monitor. Let's keep reading what they want us to do. On the event monitoring entry, not a single event entry representing uploading the blob. Okay, so let's see where we may find this monitoring. So let's go to the function one more time. Okay, so let's from functions, let's just go to the functions. Under functions, let's see the blob trigger. Okay, so under blob trigger, here I have a monitor. Okay, so this is, if I go to that monitor, okay, let's see, I might be able to show you that I have something. Okay, so there it is. So again, sometimes when you have the labs, possible when the lab was created, you have all those facilities or all those functions in a different place, but now they have moved Azure changes very rapidly. So just when you're doing these labs, okay, keep that in mind. So you have to use your own judgment a little bit, play with it and learn and kind of guess where a service may relocate it or something. So but we know, and here we are, there is the monitor. Okay, and here it is. So if you look at it, probably you can also go there. It probably gonna tell you what is this about. So this one, trigger and all of that, count insertion time. So it's just telling you when here's the file that we uploaded, right? Work item 1, this is the file, and we have a trigger. So that seems like it's working pretty good from the blob trigger monitor that we have created, the function that we have created. Alright, so up to this point we are pretty good. Not a single event entry represents uploading of blobs. We have verified that. View the invocation details. We have verified that. Go back to the monitor blade and click on run in application insights again. So if is that possible, let's come over here and let's see if there is a something under application insights. Run query in the application insights again. So sometimes it's a little bit difficult to figure out where they are. Just take your time and do it. Okay, sorry about the background noise. They're my kids, and that's the benefit of working from home these days. All right, so over here we are here, so let's see what else do we need to do. Go back to the monitor blade, run application insights. In the application insights portal, review the auto generated Custo query and see the results. So is there auto query Custo? I don't see any auto generated Custo query. Let's get out of this and let's see. Query language, learn more about log. Why am I not seeing the whole thing? Let's say click get started, and there we go. So this is the Custo query that they're talking about, and this is the query that was used for that blob trigger. Okay, so Custo query is something is probably you expect to see maybe in the exam as well, and in the real life as well. You gotta learn a little bit. I'm not the expert just yet, but it's pretty self-explanatory. So its request is probably you have a table called request. If you look at it, there is a request table. Okay, these are the tables that we have, and in this table you are doing like the where is where the timestamp greater than ago 30 days ago, where cloud role name, so you're giving and you know take 20, it's a top 20, that kind of stuff. So just spend some more time to understand what is this doing. And project, let's see if there is another called project node. You can also come over here, look at that request table. So where timestamp greater than 0 tells me there is a definitely a column that must have the timestamp information in it. So it may be exposed to you in here and may be exposed in some other places. Okay, but just spend some time to understand what it is, how you are running the Custo query, and you can go to the example queries, and it's going to give you a lot of example queries that are Azure already giving you, and you can try out some more of those as well, or go to the documentation, read some more, and that's what I'm going to highly recommend. Alright, from here, so we are done with this, and then the next phase, so far the lab has gone really well. Okay, so let's see if we can finish up with the high note. Okay, configure and validate an Azure Event Grid subscription based queue messaging. Okay, let's see. Again, we're going to open our Cloud Shell and we're going to register a provider. Sometimes these providers you may already have it available. If you don't, this is the very useful command to learn to register a service if it's not already available to you. Okay, let's go back, open up our bash again, and just give it a couple seconds. Alright, when we have it, we are going to run this a command. Hopefully it ran. Yeah, so we got provider registered. So this is now registered. So this provider is now available to us. So now in the Cloud Shell, we're going to run this command to generate a pseudo random stream again that we're going to use as a prefix, just like in the previous lab that we have done. Okay, so that could be another quick little thing that you can keep and save it in your cheat sheet that you can use later on for your own purposes. Okay, so in this, looks like we're going to create another resource group. Okay, it's pretty simple. We have done this in the previous lab, so there's no need to explain this anymore. So one thing I want to make sure that the location, okay, location is still east US, so that's good. That's good. So this is what I wanted. So everything, it looks good. Then what we're gonna do next, we're gonna create a storage account again that will be used for the event grid. So we have also done this one. So we're just creating another storage account for the event grid use purposes. So let's just run this one, and again it shouldn't take more than a minute or so. It's maybe 30 seconds. Just create enough storage account, that's what in my experience, maybe 25-30 seconds. So do you want to count? 1, 2, oh, I'm just gonna wait. Maybe drink some coffee. It's done maybe. Alright, so we need the container. So inside, yes, it's a true, just like the previous one we created. Now we also created a container. Okay, so far it's going really well. Now we're gonna store that information in a variable. This is also we have done. It's like the same thing we are doing twice in this lab, because we needed 2 different storage account, one for the functions and another for the event grid. And now here, run the following to create a storage account queue. Okay, so this time we're not creating a blob, we're creating a queue. This is little different from the last one, and we'll take a look into our Azure maybe to show you what we have done in this one with all the commands, because sometimes it's kind of cryptic. So we have done that was successful. And here, run the following to create an event grid. So again, all the commands, this is like very self-explanatory, right? Azure Event Grid event. Okay, now you're creating that event grid event. Okay, so just copy all of that again and come over here, paste, and hit enter, and it's running. And I have not created too many event grids, but it shouldn't take too long. It should give you 10-15 seconds maybe, so we can verify. 1, 2, 3. No, I'm not gonna count. I'm gonna drink my coffee again. Last time for the storage account, even before I tried my first save, it was done. I already had one sip, it's still not done, so maybe it takes 30 seconds. So I'm gonna pause and be back in a second. Alright, I didn't even pause for like 2 seconds and it's done. So okay, we're back. So next thing that we want to do, so we are all done with all of creation of our event grid and queue. So now we're gonna validate the Azure Event Grid subscription based queue messaging. Okay, so now we're gonna do more commands, okay, where we are gonna upload a test blob to the Azure storage account. Okay, so the same thing we are doing, we are again uploading to the same blob. Okay, so let's come back, paste, and go again. So we just created a new file in that storage account. So let's at this time maybe just quickly go back and see what is going on in our storage accounts. So if we go to storage accounts, so now I have 2 storage accounts, right? One we have created, I don't know, remember which one we created in the first lab, so let's maybe just go to this one. Let's go to containers. This one, let's see, work items 2. So this is possible, most likely the one that we just created. Let me go and check the queue and see if there's anything under queue. So for queues, yeah, so this is the one. So in this one we have a queue, in the other one we did not create a queue, right? This is the only storage account where we have created a queue container and loaded a queue. So up to this far we know what is going on. Okay, so let's come back in the Azure portal, navigate blade displaying the Azure storage account. On the blade, click on queues. That's what we just did. Click the entry presenting the queue you created in the previous task. Note that the queue contains a single message. Click its entry to display the message properties blade. So we haven't done that, so let's come back and click on it. So that's going to give you the message properties blade. This is the property. Okay, In the message body, note the value of the URL property representing URL of the Azure Storage blob you uploaded in the previous task. So here, if you go and look at it, here is the URL. Okay, so txt. So this is the URL that you have. Okay, and if you look at the URL, this is the URL of the blob that we have uploaded just a little bit ago. So let's copy this one and put it somewhere here. Okay, put it somewhere here, and you go back again to the storage account. Go to your blob containers here, go to this file, copy the URL, come back over here, paste it. They both match. So what is telling you, like for this file, as soon as it's got uploaded, your event grid, it has registered an event for that particular file upload. Okay, so let's come back. I think we have done very well in this lab. So come back. So that's it. So in this lab we have used both Azure Functions and Azure Event Grid to track and notify us when somebody is uploading a file to a Blob Storage account. And just like with any other exercises, we are going to delete everything that we have created in this lab. We don't want to waste our money for items that are only used for the lab. So I'm going to end the lab by running this command, which is really going to get all the resource groups, and then it's going to pass it to this particular command where it's going to run az group delete, and it's going to run as no wait. So it's going to give me the shell back, and it will forcefully delete everything. Okay, so if I hit enter, you will see I got the command window back, but it doesn't mean that all the resources are deleted right now. It's running as a background job. Okay, so that's the end of the lab. So this concludes this particular lab, and just to tell you that at this point I have completed all of the labs under this AZ300 Microsoft Azure Architect Technology. So if you have any trouble, please go back and take a look at the videos that I've already done for all of these labs. Everything is available. We had a little bit of trouble with the Azure Logic app, but everything else should be available to you. If you don't have Azure account, please take a look at it. If you do, if you have struggling, you can go take a look at it. What I have done is I said sometimes the lab instruction does not exactly match, but yeah, if you're preparing for the exam, very good luck. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and please leave your valuable comments. Thank you very much for watching the video.